Mike, it was Notre Dame, Florida State weekend for recruiting. It was supposed to be another one of those game of the century, but a one-win Florida State team looked like a one-win Florida State team as the Irish won 52-3, but I'm assuming it did not dampen the mood of the recruits at Notre Dame Stadium.
I think it definitely dampened like some of the hype around the visit experience, but it definitely didn't dampen like how things went. If that makes sense, it was a huge recruiting weekend, and going into it, I'd said in terms of like the amount of top prospects on campus, this wasn't Notre Dame's biggest weekend, but I think in terms of importance and how like crucial it is to a given recruiting class, this one is definitely up there in the Marcus Freeman tenure, considering this is the last time I checked, at least the number 14 class of the country, according to the On3 industry team rankings. And you have all 7 of their like known remaining targets were at that game on Saturday. So that's in the 2025 class, as well as obviously tons of commits and then some big time prospects in the 2026 class. So a very important recruiting weekend for the Irish. And Darren, we'll go through 4 of the guys to start our segment today who are on campus. And the first one being Derek Meadows from Las Vegas Bishop Gorman. Darren, if you had a nickel every time we talked about Derek Meadows in our segment, you'd have at least like $5. I mean, it's been a lot. And the feeling coming off of, and this is the LSU top 100 overall player, big time wide receiver, again, committed to Brian Kelly and the Tigers since the summer. It was a long-time Notre Dame target. So he got to Notre Dame for the first time since he pledged to the Tigers back in the summer. And things went really well. I think that and for me, talking to folks on the Notre Dame side of things, Darren, there's some real, I would even put it past optimism, like confidence, that they believe Derek Meadows is going to flip to Notre Dame. And then reading the national reports from guys like On3's Chad Simmons and Steve Wiltfong, the 2 best national insiders in the game, proud to be able to work with them over at On3. They're like writing about how there's a sense that Meadows is going to leave LSU. It's just a matter of which school he'll pick. And I don't think it's going to be Michigan unless the 5-star LSU commit, a quarterback commit, Bryce Underwood, flips to Michigan, right? So if he goes from LSU to Michigan, then you think Derek Meadows to Michigan looks good. Texas A&M is a new school that's in the mix. How about that? Texas A&M trying to flip Derek Meadows late. But otherwise, it looks like Notre Dame. So Notre Dame looking good for this top 100 overall talent. Will it come to fruition? We'll obviously have to see. I mean, we're talking about sources behind the scenes here. Who knows what Meadows is thinking? He's supposed to visit LSU, I think, at the end of the month. So this is probably one that's going to go right up until National Signing Day. Another one that's going to go up to signing day is Madden Faraimo, big-time linebacker in the 2025 class. J. Sarah Catholic in Southern California, top 100 overall prospect. His visit went really well from what I am told. His second time on campus this fall, he was also in town for the Louisville game. I do believe that Notre Dame gets Madden Faraimo. Like, more confident that Notre Dame gets Faraimo than I am Meadows, and I kind of think right now that they got the best chance to land Meadows. Just kind of give you a perspective on how I feel things are going with Madden Faraimo. Visits Texas next weekend, and then potentially USC at the end of the month. There's been different talks about a decision date for Faraimo. Would it be after the USC visit or before the USC visit? Well, if you commit to before you go to USC, then wouldn't it be USC, or do you cancel the USC visit? See, these are the kind of things that are being discussed, Darren. But Madden Faraimo, a crucial Notre Dame target. Do believe he's trending towards the Irish after a strong visit. Nathaniel Owusu Boateng, the younger brother of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. This one's been interesting, Darren, because Notre Dame's been recruiting him for almost 3 years, and at different points I've been like, oh, I think Notre Dame leads. Oh, I don't. Right now, I don't believe the Irish get this one done. Michigan looks to be the favorite. Colorado's also coming along, and he's visiting Texas next weekend as well. So what's interesting is Nathaniel Owusu Boateng and Madden Faraimo, just both at Notre Dame this past weekend. They're both going to be at Texas next weekend. I think they're the 2 highest ranked uncommitted linebackers in all of the 2025 class. So Owusu Boateng, I mean, I posted an article on him at Blue and Gold. He had good things to say about the visit, but I still think that this one ends up going away from the Irish. And then Jalen Wiggins, listed at 235 pounds. And I sent a note in to Charles Power, who update that, because Wiggins checked in at 269 pounds during his Notre Dame visit.
Oh.
So yeah, that's a far cry from 235, which probably hasn't been updated since early in his junior year or something. So that's our bad. We'll get that fixed. So Jalen Wiggins, Florida defensive line commit, 4-star prospect, on 3 ranks him as a top 100 overall player. I think Notre Dame's got a slight edge. He's still considering a school like Stanford. I think that tells you a lot. Like, academics are a really big deal to him. You know, I think if you would have talked to him a few months ago, I think he'd probably say I'm leaning towards staying closer to home. But I think those close to him are starting to come around to the idea of, okay, like you going away it's not the worst thing. So I think Wiggins, I would give, I don't know. You still might give a slight edge to Florida, especially after they're keeping Napier, and he's supposed to be going to see the Gators this weekend. That could backfire on them. But I think Notre Dame's got a good chance laying him. So of the 4 we just talked about, feel best about Faraimo, then Meadows, then Wiggins, then Owusu-Boateng. And then there's a couple more that we'll talk about in a little bit, Darren, as we continue on this segment. But yeah, it was a solid weekend overall. We didn't even talk about the 2026 guys. There's some big time players. So we'll save that for a different day. But overall, great weekend for the Irish.
Bear with me for a second, because I want you to break a tie. I had a discussion with 2 other members of the Notre Dame media involving recruits at Notre Dame Stadium Saturday. I'm sure someone in your position hates these type of questions, but I'm going to ask it anyway because you're an expert. If Notre Dame could get one of these 3, which would be best for them? Meadows, Faraimo, or Owusu-Boateng? And the 3 media members, all 1 vote for each.
Which would be best for Notre Dame?
Which would be the best get?
Best get, or like most impactful for the team?
I like that. Most impactful for the team.
I know a lot of people think Meadows is kind of boomer bust because he's not super productive at the high school level, but I would go Meadows because of that potential. At that size, Notre Dame has really coveted him so badly since June of 2023. For me, it would be Meadows or Faraimo. And the only thing why I wouldn't pick Faraimo is just the positional need. They have so many young linebackers and they need more talented receivers. So I would lean Meadows, but there's not really a bad choice there.
Yeah.